As soon as I took that one soldier out, the few that weren't completely occupied with the XPCs began focusing on me immediately. But it didn't matter. They were distracted enough, too occupied with the XPCs, to realize how fast that I'd rush up, even not being on a motorcycle, an inhuman level of speed. I rushed up on another of them, just as he was starting to try to raise his gun in my direction. A single slash, bringing my blade up from a downward angle, cut straight through the weapon, sending its pieces flying apart. I lashed out with another slash, dragging it across the center of his body, running from his hip to his shoulder. You could see the flying of sparks as the steel of my blade ground into the armor. The slight blue glow of the deflection field that the armor produces being forced through, and even his blood spilling out from the inside of the armor, as the impact knocked him backwards, collapsing to the ground with a heavy metallic clanking sound, at which point I immediately turned my attention to the next one on the list. This one was a bit more prepared. Having a larger window of time to defend himself, he had already raised his gun, a rapid fire rate heavy pistol, a machine pistol basically, unleashing a flurry of rounds in my direction as I approached. But they weren't heavy caliber enough to do any damage. They stung a bit, but that's about the limit of it. They left no real damage as they bounced off my skin, even as I rushed right through them. The sensation of this combat was crazy. This is the first time that I fought, having my new abilities, and quite frankly, it's far more than I expected it to be, even with the tests that I had run before. Among the countless changes that my body now had, massively strengthened cellular bonds, tissue strength, and many other changes meant that I could amp the functions of my body up far beyond the regular limitations. For example, a normal human heart can only beat so fast before it damages itself. And that's exactly what a heart attack is. The heart goes past its limitation, damaging the tissues, leaving the heart weak, injured. But my limitations were not human ones. I could force my heart to beat so fast that it was basically a hum, rather than any sort of pulsing sound, more like a roaring engine than an organ. This garnished me powerful results, increasing agility, stamina, physical strength, even amplifying my reflexes and perceptions. Normally, a heart would explode under that. A normal human body couldn't handle the pressure of that much blood flowing through it. But my body wasn't human, at least not completely. My new enhanced physical state could handle the dramatic increase in internal pressure without breaking a sweat. All of that mixed with the mental enhancements and other physical enhancements from the nanites meant that in the heat of combat, I actually could see the bullets, even count them, watch them fly through the air in my direction. It was intense. I felt like the world was moving in slow motion, even my own body. As quickly as I was moving physically, my mind was moving even faster. I found myself waiting for my body to catch up to my will, starting to react to the bullets before they even start coming out of the gun. As the machine pistol blared at me, I had no problem rushing right through it, scrambles of bullets bouncing off of me. As I reached my hand out, sparks flying off of my skin as the bullet shattered across it, bouncing off of the palm of my hand as I gripped into the gun and crushed it. The guy shooting at me immediately reacted, trying to throw a punch. Unfortunately for him, superhuman reflexes make me a bit hard to hit by normal measures. I evaded it easily, catching his arm as it passed by me. Once again, as I gripped into it, I could feel the steel bending underneath my fingers. As I gripped into it, I pulled it back, the opposite direction, twisting it around, so hard that you could actually see mechanical parts in the armor breaking from being forced in the opposite direction against their will so rapidly. The servos, gears, and intricate parts that allow the armor to move fluently, giving out completely and breaking inside, sparks flying out of the shoulder elements. And before he could do anything else, he had already found that I had plunged my sword straight through him. Once again, sparks flying from the armor, blood mixing in with it in the air, as I kicked him backwards, propelling him off my sword to the ground. Just then I felt a heavy impact on my back, one strong enough to actually send me tumbling over for a moment, as I turned around to see another one of the armored soldiers, not occupied by an XPC. This one seemed to have a much heavier weapon, most likely specifically chosen for dealing with XPCs. I'm not gonna lie, it hurt, but it far from put me down. It was the strangest thing. Having my brain move as fast as it was strange all in and of itself. But as this combat was continuing, I was beginning to notice other changes. For example, the moment I got shot, I already knew which one of the soldiers shot me, the exact angle he shot from, even the details of the weapon he was using. All of these things came flooding into my mind. I could also feel pings, I guess you might call them, like positional awareness. I could actually feel the XPCs around me. My new motorcycle now starting to circle around, approaching me from behind, at the perfect angle to snag a short ride, which might be a wonderful coincidence if it weren't my plan, which is the craziest sensation in and of itself. My brain created a plan, a strategy, a tactical set of actions before I realized that my brain did it, and then cast out the orders. It wasn't a coincidence that my motorcycle had circled around and was already coming in from behind me, heading in the direction of this armored figure. I had figured it all out beforehand. It was almost like an internal sense of deja vu, making a plan without realizing that you made a plan, all happening so fast that it's hard to separate what was conscious thought and what was subconscious thought. With this new enhanced state of mine, it was hard to tell the difference. Both my mind and my subconscious mind seemed to function on an entirely different level. It felt like there were two different versions of me rolling around inside of my head. One that I'm aware of and one that I'm not aware of until I see the effects. Each one functioning at a level far beyond human capacity. My conscious mind completely focused on the moment that I'm in, while my subconscious mind works out everything else in the background, all at breakneck speed, and then delivers a plan before I can even take stock of the fact that I have thought of one. I shouldn't have had time to think about any of it. The rate at which I was able to think was staggering. Even the moments waiting for my motorcycle to catch up to location felt like an eternity inside of my own head. But finally, the motorcycle did catch up. I didn't even have to look at it. I simply knew its position, its speed, its angle. Without giving it any attention at all, I was able to jump off my feet, latching onto it as it rushed towards the new target. As it did, I grabbed the front-mounted shield just before the jets went off, propelling the motorcycle into the air. As it arced over the top, flipping over so that I was actually facing directly down at the soldier, who at this point could barely keep up. In moments, I had pushed off of the motorcycle in midair, forcing myself downward towards the ground at him, simultaneously swinging out the shield with one hand, triggering the pulse cannon inside of it. The impact forced the armored figure into the ground like a railroad spike, and before he could even flinch, still buried in the crater, no doubt still alive, that hit would have killed a normal person, but in that armored suit, these people are much more durable. But that didn't stop my blade from crashing down through his back, impaling him into the ground like a shish kebab. As I landed on him, I could feel the armor bending, the stone ground underneath him giving way to the immense force of the impact as I crushed him even further into it, before pulling my blade from his broken body and beginning to look around for target number 4.